And another influence has been dance tunes. Obviously quite a few of your tunes have been picked up by Na Féini and are used now. But you also go into the schools and do some teaching as well.
Yes, when time allows, when I can fit it around work and things, we go into schools and we help out. And I must say, Mike Bolton is the head man on that score, and of course Sue Ling, she goes around as well, and we help out whenever we can, and some evening stuff. And we haven't done so much in the last 12 months, but the last couple of years we managed to actually get some days off in the week and go around the schools and do a kind of assembly thing just to introduce them to Manx music, and then its position within the bigger Celtic community, if you like. So yeah, I enjoy that work when I get the chance to do it. I like to do more of it, but you've got to fit it around work.
Apart from Mactullagh, Vannin, you were playing with a group called Sheean Raah. Who was in that?
That was quite a short-lived thing due to people at university and the rest of it. It was good fun at the time. There was two Lawrence sisters, Katie and Kirsty. We had Simon Collister originally on, I think, bouzouki or guitar or both. And then Simon moved off somewhere and John Macaulay took his place for a little while, and myself. I think there was only the four of us. We managed to get some tracks down on the Lighthouse a few years back. That'd be the late 90s.
work at one time took you to Scotland, hence the tune Kinnoul. How did that one come about?
We were working for ShopRite 20 odd years ago when ShopRite branched out back in the day there. And there was one summer's evening, we were working in Perth, staying in Perth, and I went for a walk in the evening when we finished, a lovely summer's evening. I climbed up, there's a big headland with a tower on the top and a sheer cliff face. Apparently it's quite popular with jumpers. I didn't know that at the time. I might have looked at it a bit differently. I just sat up there again, very much like at home, you know, and I looked out over the Tay, and it's just spectacular, and I was inspired to write that. I think it's got a bit of a Scottish providence. And Kinnoul was the name of the hill.
How was it you got into music in the first place?
Back in the mid-70s, about the year before I left school actually, we moved up to Sulby Glen. We were living at the Arragh, not the farm on top, but the house down by the road. I think that'd be about 76. And of course our nearest hostelry was the Tholty Will. And we weren't long in there. I was staying there with two friends. We got this house. So we went up to Tholty Will on the first Friday night. We were there, and lo and behold, Treadmill were playing Donald Byrne's group, and I just took to it straight away. That was my first encounter, really. I'd seen Manning folk round about, but what attracted me to it was quite sort of intimate, but it was very communal. It was open, and there was a lot of banter or crack between the group and the audience. There was this interaction that I hadn't experienced in other types of music. Growing up as a teenager then, it was pop music, 70s stuff, obviously. And the few concerts that you went to, I think there was one down in Nobles Park sometime in the 70s we went to. They're just on a stage and the crowd cheer and clap and all, but it's not the same interaction. And that's what attracted me to it. It's this community type thing. And from the folky ballads and the whiskey in the jar type of stuff, that was my inroad in. I later discovered traditional music through listening to RTE. It was said, oh, you should listen to this, and it was the Chieftains and stuff like this, and that was the road in, really. I suppose a few months after going to Treadmill things and the folk clubs, at the time Treadmill were also resident in the Ramsey Folk Club, which was in the Queen's Hotel. Dave Sale was running one at the Falcon Cliff, so we used to alternate between the two of them. And again, it was by a chance meeting with somebody, Ray Fletcher. He said, I heard there's some sort of folk night in Peel. So this would be 76, 77, something like that. So we headed over this Saturday night. Now, it wasn't to their taste, it wasn't their cup of tea. I said that Paul Lebezinski was actually with us that night. I thought it was wonderful. I thought, this is even better than the folky ballad stuff. This is for me, and this is actually Manx. And it was my first experience of Manx traditional music. So I started to go there on a weekly basis. Picked up the whistle because it was the easiest seaman and then cheapest instrument for a young fella.
And when did you add the flute to your repertoire?
That didn't come to many years later. They're very expensive things. Eventually scratched the money together by hook and by crook to get my first decent flute. It was about £1,000. Prior to that, actually, I did get a grant off the Heritage Foundation. That would be mid-90s. Less than 20 years I've been playing the flute, but it's a natural progression from the whistle. The fingering is a simple system, it's the same. It's just the embouchure you've got to get used to.
Peddyr Cubberley, go to my moorhead.
See the way.